a very funny man in Don Knotts, and my dad was one of the biggest fans in the world. And his daughter, who's a very nice young lady, Karen Knotts, has written a book about her dad. And she's with us. Karen, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing, Tim?
Oh, man, I was just telling Bellio and Russell during the couple breaks ago that I know Sharon Bellio was talking about how my dad, how watching the Carol Burnett show and watching my dad helped, sort of develop her sense of humor. And I thought that was really cool. And then I told her that my dad had said this, numerous times, and he never was kidding about it. He said everything he's ever done on TV, he stole from your dad, Don Knotts.
I think he was kidding.
Listen, I know he wasn't. He told me that enough times seriously, saying Don Knotts was his hero, and everything he did in physical comedy, he learned from Don Knotts.
Well, okay. I mean, they were huge fans of each other. I mean, my dad raved on and on about Tim Conway, and I know he was nervous when he first started working with Tim because your dad was so improvisational, and he ad-libbed, and my dad said, I had to be a straight man to Tim Conway, which is pretty remarkable when you consider
great.
how hilarious my dad was. But he actually said, there's no way for me to not be straight man to Tim because he is just so absolutely hysterical. I mean, he's the guy controlling the laughs in these movies.
Wow. Well, my dad would have been very proud of that, for Don to have said that about him. But my dad had an opportunity to work with Don Knotts on the Apple Dumpling Gang. Apple Dumpling Gang Rides Again. Then they also did a couple of other, independent movies. They went, there was The Prize Fighter they did together, and then there's a couple others as well. But you've written a book, and tell us what is it about? Is it about how crazy your dad is and used to beat the hell out of you?
Well, what kind of frustrated me over the years, Tim, is people really thought, I think a lot of people really thought that my dad was like Barney Fife.
Right.
And, it frustrated me because, my dad created that character, and it is a brilliant character that people become so involved in watching, but he really was not the character. And every time I would start to tell my friends a story about my dad, they would break it off into, do you know how many pickles are in Aunt Bee's pickle jar? Or something. Like they would keep turning the story around into Barney. And my dad was just such an amazingly complex person and very funny, just as himself. So I really wanted to share with my readers what my dad was really like. I wanted people to feel like they had spent a week with Don Knotts at the end of it.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Was he? My dad always remembered your dad as being a very shy person. Is that true?
Yeah, he was. He was very shy. He was very quiet, but he had confidence. It's sort of like my brother and I would notice things like sometimes he'd be talking on the phone and he'd be like, Don Knotts, he'd call to make a reservation. This is Don Knotts. And my brother was saying that he just got used to that. And I said, I had to point out to him, but he's talking to a lady making a reservation for a restaurant. Her job is to make everybody feel special.
That's great. That's awesome. Was your dad, was he married a couple of times or just once?
He had 3 marriages to my mom, and each marriage lasted the same amount of time. This is really crazy, but
really?
15 years, each marriage.
Wow.
So it's like, I guess that was his burnout point,
Right. And are you and your brother, are you both from the first marriage?
Yes, we are. We're both. He didn't have any other kids but us, fortunately.
Okay. Oh, that's kind of cool. And where did you guys live? Where were you born and raised?
Glendale, California was where we grew up. Although
I was
born in New Jersey back in the live television days. He was doing live TV in New York. We lived in Dumont, New Jersey. I was born there, and then but we spent our childhood really in Glendale.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Whereabouts in Glendale?
On Mountain Street, and my dad loved the mountains because he lived in West Virginia, you know. And so, when they relocated out here to California, he immediately goes to a town with the most mountains.
Oh, that's kind of neat.
Yeah, that's close to the studio. It was a very quick drive for him from Glendale over the hill to Desilu Studios.
Wow. I mean, what year was that? I mean, what year did you guys all make it out to Los Angeles?
Well, that would have been, I think, at the tail end of the Steve Allen show. I think because the Steve Allen show relocated from New York to California
Right. Late
because
50s,
all the
early
shows were
60s?
moving out there, and so that's when we moved out. So he probably moved. We probably moved out here in 1959.
Right.
I'm thinking.
And what does your brother do?
He's an engineer, and
Okay.
my brother, up until now, has been he's been a very shy son of celebrity kid. He never talks about his dad, But I said, Tom, I'm outing you in this book,
Right.
because
Yeah.
we would have conversations like, first of all, he remembers literally every toy we ever played with when we were children.
Oh, that's
Right?
wild.
I know it, and I made a list of them in the book too. And so I got him talking on that, and then I got him talking about, what's it like for you when Dad was so famous, And he started telling me about how, because we were separated for a while when my parents divorced. He went with my mother, and she remarried, and I went with Dad. And my brother ended up living in this ranch town with my mom for a while, and he said the kids were just hysterical when they found out who my father was, and I was very shy at the time, and it really freaked me out, And I said, "Okay, I'm going to put this in the book. Is that okay with you?" And he goes, "Okay."
But you're,
So,
from what I understand, and I only met your dad a couple of times, but a very also well-read man. Too. I mean, the guy was always reading and always,
yeah, that's right.
always like he loved knowledge.
He did. He was very. That's the thing too. Is like, in contrast to Barney Fife, my dad was a Renaissance man. He was,
Right.
and I'm not putting down Barney Fife. Please don't think that. It's just that I just want people to separate the two. I mean, my dad was a Renaissance man. He was very well educated. He was worldly. He was sophisticated. He knew what was going on. He had lots of women interested in him. And somebody said to me recently, well, your dad was a womanizer, and I said, no. He was a ladies' man. There's a
Yes,
huge
he
difference
was.
between the two.
But your dad's last relationship was with a woman that was a little younger than him.
Quite a bit younger. I think about 30 years younger, actually.
30 years. Wow.
Something like that, yeah.
And I don't remember her name, and I don't know if you talk about her, what your relationship is like with her, but I remember that gave your dad a lot of new energy.
Oh yes, I'm sure it did, because she was young, of course, and he was young at heart, young in spirit, but he had, Dad had certain fears, or he could be very reclusive sometimes, and she got him out into the world, and she was very social, and so like I love those parties at your dad's, let's see, John Mayer's house, when
Oh, that's
your
right.
dad and my dad and all this gang of their friends every year at Christmas would have these incredible parties. Have
That's
you ever
right.
experienced anything other like that?
It was great. It really was. It was a once in a lifetime deal, and I was so happy that that my dad would open up his house to everybody, and
Yeah.
you'd say, like neighbors there, and people you haven't seen maybe in a couple of years. The Anderson kids, all the kids were always invited, and it was such a
Right.
great time. Are you going to
And
be
he
doing?
was-
Are you going to be doing any book signings?
Well, I haven't. I guess the bookstores are a little reluctant right now. I haven't had any, but I have had numerous interviews. I've been doing Zoom interviews from all over the country, so that's been really nice. And I've started to get bookings for my show again, my touring show, which is also called Tied Up in Knots.
Oh, that's great. All right, so the book is called Tied Up in Knots. It's out now?
Yes, it is. It came out 2 weeks ago, so it's out there on the shelves, and all the major bookstores carry it. Of course, Amazon too.
That's cool. Well, I wish you luck. I hope you sell 1,000,000 copies.
Oh, thank you, and thank you for your wonderful interview in my book.
Oh, well,
I
it was
love
just
that.
it was just sort of Karen asked me to write not the foreword, but I guess a comment for the back of it. Did it make the book?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Of course it did. And I'll
All right.
send you a copy. It was great. So
Okay.
KarenKnotts.com is my website, and people can get autographs on the book for the book if they want to there too.
Excellent. I'm glad you. I'm sorry because of COVID we couldn't have you in studio, but if you're ever doing a book signing, call us. We'll promote the hell out of it.
Oh, thank you very much. Will do.
All right. Nice talking to you again.
Okay, you too.
I'll talk to you later. There she goes. Very sweet woman, Karen Knotts. Her dad is Don Knotts, and she asked me to write, not a review, but just a comment for the back of the book. And I said, oh, okay. I don't really normally would know what to say. I said, but my dad stole everything he knows from Don Knotts. So it's probably the best thing I could say is, well, I hope you steal this book from the bookstore. And I think they changed it a little because they don't want people stealing, from the bookstore.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
You understand? Right?
Mhm.
But I think it's still on the book. Might as well. If my dad stole, you might as well steal
Well,
this
I'm
book.
ordering a
You
copy.
are?
I am. So we'll
Wow.
see if your quote made it.
Ding dong with you.
Yeah.
All right.
It's
yeah.
funny how her voice, by the way, sounds like her dad.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. She has little infatuations.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. Yeah. She's great.